Hi, and welcome to this Oxidizer tutorial. I'm here to share with you guys a couple different methods of opening Apophysis flames into Oxidizer, because perhaps there's some flame packs you've downloaded and you wish to start editing them to make them your own inside Oxidizer, or perhaps you want to use the built-in animation function, and this will allow you to do that with the downloaded flames. And we'll also cover how to follow along with Apophysis tutorials, because from my searches on the web, there are practically zero tutorials dealing with flame creation in Oxidizer. It's all Apophysis everywhere you look. So let me get started here. What I've done is I've followed along this tutorial. You could find it on the web if you're curious, but I've made that in Apophysis and I've saved the file. And what you're going to want to do with your save file is open it up in a text editor, as I've done here, and find the section where it says Xform weight, color, and has variations and its corresponding values. You're going to copy all of this information. And now what you're going to do is create a new blank flame or random generated flame, and you're going to save that in Oxidizer. I've already done that, so I'm going to open it up in text editor. That's what I've done here on the left. You're going to find the same section where it says Xform weight and the variations and its values, and you're going to replace that information with the info from the Apophysis save. And another thing to note here while you're doing this is any sort of quality, gamma, brightness values that you wish to retain from the Apophysis file. I recommend manually grabbing these and adding them to the Apophysis save, because if you copy paste like you did before, you're going to lose some of the values such as temporal filter and estimator, stuff like that. And I'm sure Oxidizer would like to have that sort of info in its save file, even if you're not going to be changing the values from the default. So that's why I recommend you do that. So I'm going to save this newly edited flame here, and now we're going to open it up in Oxidizer and see if it has worked. And indeed it has. Let me go here, get a better look at it. This is indeed the flame that we've followed along with the tutorial to make. And of course the gradients aren't going to be exactly the same, because if you look here on the Apophysis kind of save file, the color info is all dealt with this like big hexadecimal number, and obviously Oxidizer doesn't have that. It has a different kind of color managing thing for it. Another way of getting Apophysis flames to open in Oxidizer would be to follow along with a tutorial. This one's a little bit different. If I go to this tutorial here, they're telling you the transform values as well as the triangle values. You can see right here on the kind of the tabs that you can edit in Apophysis. There's two different. There's transform and triangle. Triangle is slightly different due to the X and Y also having the O or 0, I don't know what it is, value added to them. So let me expand on that a little bit. So what I'm going to do is open up a halfway done flame that I've been following along with this tutorial with. What I've done is just punched in all the variations and all the values for those variations, but left the triangles default. As you can see, all these triangles are default. So we're going to follow along with the tutorial, and we're going to get the same result. So the first edit we're going to do is on the second transform, as it's telling me to do. This one's using the transform window, which is exactly what Oxidizer uses right here. This is basically your Apophysis transform window. So what were those values? Sorry for all the switching. 0.7 and 0.2. 0.7 and 0.2. Okay, that's one. Now on to the second one. Here's where the discrepancy is going to come in. In the tutorial, they've told us to add our value into the kind of nudging function or kind of strafing function, I don't know what to call it, and basically translate the triangle 0.65 units to the right. And if I were to punch in these values, it would kind of look weird and not be the correct information. So what you need to do is, hold on, get out of this. What you need to do is only punch in the this value, 0.65, and there we have it. That's the flame right there. You could also use the move function, like if I were to type 0.65 here and hit the minus, it just goes back to where it used to be, or hit the plus. That's what I'd recommend because it's just sort of simpler that way. But if you have a tutorial that only gives you the triangle section, you're just gonna subtract the O value from the X and Y on either of those. And if it's a negative number, just remember, if you're adding a negative, you're subtracting, basically. Another thing to note here is an oxidizer, the rotation degrees is, the value is going to be doubled. So if I wanted to rotate this triangle 90 degrees, my first instinct would be to type in 90 and hit plus. But in fact, that triangle is rotated 180 degrees, and that's not what we want. You're just going to bump that value down to half of the value. So if I were to type 45 degrees, now we get our 90 degree rotation. And that's not how it is in Apophysis. Apophysis, if you type 90 degrees, the triangle is going to be rotated 90 degrees, just like you want. So that's just one thing to keep note when following along with tutorials, and some might use that rotation function. That's all I could think of to tell you guys about this kind of process. If I come across anything else, I'll either make an update video or a separate video or something like that. Thanks for listening, and happy flame making.